Hello and welcome to Smaulgld's Indian gold import update for the month of October 2018. Indian gold imports slowed in October, but they were still a respectable 45 tons. For those of you keeping track in ounces, that's 14.66 million ounces. Just to put that in perspective, the U.S. Mint in a good year might sell 1 million ounces. So this is 14.6 million ounces going into India in 1 month alone. However, this was down from the 72 tons imported last October and down a step from the 65 tons imported in September. Here's a chart showing last year versus this year, 2017 in the blue, 2018 in the red, and you could see that this year is slightly lower than last year, although the second half of the year appears that up until October the gold imports were picking up. We still got November and December to go, but it looks like this year will be slightly less than last year. As you can see, October this year versus last year off about 60 some odd percent from 72 tons to 45 tons. Here's a longer term chart, and other than the early part of 2016, Indian gold demand through its imports has remained relatively robust, although not as robust as 2015 and early 2017. We've yet to top 100 tons in a given month going back to spring of 2017. The best month this year was in, looks like, August, when we had 95 tons imported. Here's an overall chart showing Indian gold imports from 1999 all the way through to 2018. And as I mentioned, probably another 100 tons maybe this year. We get another 50 in November, another 50 in December. And we'll get that to about 747 tons. Could be higher, could be lower. But so far, it's already higher than 2016, 582 tons, and should easily surpass 2009, 653 tons, and 2006's 690 tons, but probably not going to get to the 900 level, but still a decent year. India likes its gold. Now, I got a comment from a subscriber the other day. Well, what about imported gold that is smuggled? It's a very good question, and we don't know the amounts that are being smuggled. Obviously, there are amounts being smuggled, and it's almost like you see in the news almost every day, people getting, if you read the Indian online news outlets, they're always finding people at the airport or at the border with gold in their rectum or some other type of gold smuggling scam. And I've seen, there's one where they have it looks like a paste, and I don't know what they do, but somehow it's dissolved in the paste, they get it out. The most clever scheme I heard was someone is from a foreign country, they buy the gold, they don't get checked when they get on the plane because they figure they get you when you get off the plane, but you leave the gold on the plane either under a seat or somewhere hidden in the bathroom, and then one of your compatriots gets on the plane that may be used for a domestic flight, retrieves the gold. So if the international flight lands in Bombay, person gets a connecting flight from Bombay to another city in India, gets the gold, comes out, and he's managed to smuggle the gold in. Now, gold smuggling is popular in India, not only because they like gold, but because there's a 10% import duty, so it sometimes seems worth the risk to do that to avoid the import duty. But again, we don't know how much of that happens, but I would imagine that it has been relatively constant since they instituted the most recent gold import duty of 10% back in 2013. It probably ebbs and flows given the ability of the Indian authorities to stop it, but I wouldn't read anything into a high or a low month in official gold imports into what that means for smuggling. I think smuggling's an ongoing cat and mouse game, and I can't estimate it, but I would say at least 10% of these numbers you could probably add onto what gets smuggled in, maybe even up to 50%. It's very hard to tell because we only know what actually they find at the border. We don't know how successful they are in stopping it. So clearly a lot of gold does get smuggled. We just don't know how much it is. If you're interested in buying gold or silver yourself, you can do so through the Smaulgld site or below the links to this BitShooter YouTube at SD Bullion, Golden Eagle Coin, Money Metals Exchange. It's not investment advice to buy or sell gold, but if you do click on those links, Smaulgld will get a small commission if you do indeed buy, and you pay no more, no less than if you visited those sites directly. Now, Indian gold reserves, this is different from the country of India, how much gold is in the country, which we know, or we have estimates that it's between 18 and 22,000 tons held between citizens and temples in India. But the Reserve Bank of India itself, it's in the top 10, but it has 580 tons. So obviously the citizens purchase more gold than the Reserve Bank itself does, but you can see 580 tons, not a small amount, but also not a large amount. Central banks are not the biggest buyers of gold. The biggest component of gold demand, that is jewelry, and then other investment demand, and then industrial demand, and also central banks. And for the most part, central banks aren't buying gold, other than Russia is the big buyer, and Kazakhstan. They account for about 85% of gold purchased by central banks over the past couple of years, at least 5 years, because we know that from our reports that Kazakhstan's been buying gold every month for about 6 years, and Russia has been adding gold at a prodigious rate for the last 4 or 5 years as well. Okay, well, please join me each and every night for a live stream 7 days a week, usually between the hours of 7 and 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we look forward to seeing you then.